It is easy to assume a dog's love is unconditional and permanent, yet even the closest human-canine bond can drift when subtle miscommunications pile up. Most guardians notice the obvious signs of affection: a wagging tail, the happy prance. Toward the door, the gentle nudge of a nose seeking pets. But far fewer people recognize the body language clues that signal worry, irritation, or distrust. When those warning lights appear and we overlook them, the dog does not immediately leap to biting or overt aggression. Instead, it begins to retreat emotionally, choosing distance, distraction, or low-level unrest over connection. What many owners interpret as stubbornness or aloofness is often the animal's quiet way of saying, "I'm uncomfortable and I need your help." Learning to decode those signals is not about labeling the dog as good or bad, loving or hateful. It is about meeting the animal in the moment, reducing its stress, and rebuilding a sense of shared safety. Once you view each puzzling reaction through that lens, you can turn avoidance into approach and reknit a frayed relationship before it unravels. One of the starkest indicators that something is wrong is the warning growl paired with a flash of teeth. People sometimes punish the sound because it feels like defiance, yet a growl is the canine equivalent of a polite, "Back off, please." The dog is announcing that a boundary has been crossed. Perhaps a cherished toy was grabbed, a painful hip was jostled, or an unfamiliar person loomed too quickly. If the growl is silenced through scolding, the dog learns that early warnings are unsafe and may skip straight to snapping next time. A wiser response is to pause, assess the context, and widen the dog's comfort bubble. Once the tension drops, you can desensitize gradually, approach more slowly, offer high-value treats, and allow the dog to retreat. Over repeated calm exposures, the need to growl fades because the dog trusts you will notice unease before it escalates. A tucked tail serves a similar purpose. When the fluffy flag that usually sways behind your dog disappears between its thighs, the animal is signaling fear or overwhelming uncertainty. The posture is evolution's way of shrinking the dog's silhouette, protecting vulnerable underparts and releasing appeasing pheromones from anal glands. Trying to lure or drag a tail-tucked dog toward the stressor can backfire. Instead, turn sideways, crouch to present a smaller profile, and use a cheerful tone to guide the dog to a safer distance. Once the tail loosens and the spine uncoils, you can reinforce brave investigation at the dog's pace. Over time, the animal will associate you with protection rather than pressure. Another subtle alarm bell is selective hearing. Dogs that normally spin at the sound of their name, yet suddenly seem deaf when called in from the yard, are not plotting a rebellion. They are often conflicted, unsure whether complying will lead to a pleasant outcome. Maybe recall historically. Predicts the end of fun, nail clipping, or scolding. Restoring reliability means rewiring that emotional equation. For a week, call the dog only when you can pay immediately with roast chicken, a short tug game, or freedom to return to sniffing. After a quick pat, avoid negative consequences following the cue until enthusiasm reappears. Consistency transforms "come here" from a vague threat into the opening note of a joyous routine. Licking presents a more confusing puzzle because humans automatically label it as affection. Certainly gentle face or hand licks can be a sign of closeness, yet frantic, persistent licking, especially on your mouth, feet, or the air, often reveals anxiety. Saliva production and tongue flicks release soothing endorphins much like a toddler's thumb sucking. If your dog throws itself into excessive licking whenever visitors arrive or when you reach for the car keys, interpret it as a plea for reassurance. Offer a stuffed chew toy or snuffle mat so the dog can self-soothe without drenching your skin, and pair departures with calm, predictable treat rituals to chip away at the root stress. Few frustrations rattle owners more than coming home to shredded cushions or scratched doors. Before labeling the dog spiteful, think of destruction as a stress barometer. Chewing releases dopamine and can mask panic during long stretches of isolation. Scratching at exit points is a desperate digging toward the absent pack. Increasing exercise, adding midday enrichment through puzzle feeders, and practicing gradual alone time training shrink the emotional volcano that drives such mayhem. Crating may protect furniture, but will not solve the need behind the behavior, unless the crate itself is paired with positive experiences. While obvious discomfort signs demand attention, your dog also harbors a set of largely unspoken wishes that, once fulfilled, transform everyday life. The first is the desire for appropriate choice. We control every aspect of canine existence: when they eat, where they walk, which strangers they greet, so sprinkling small choices through the day restores their sense of agency and dramatically reduces reactivity. Allow the dog to decide which path to follow during part of a walk, which toy to tug first, or whether to accept petting at all. A dog that feels heard is far less likely to bark insistently or bolt after every passing scent. Next is the need for meaningful mental work. Wild canids spend hours sniffing trails, solving foraging puzzles, and negotiating complex social structures. Modern couch life starves that cognitive hunger. 5 minutes of shaping games, teaching the dog to nudge a light switch or roll up in a blanket, drains as much energy as a brisk mile. Rotating puzzle toys, hiding treats around the house, or introducing basic scent detection classes can turn a chronically restless pet into a contented napper. Routine, though, can never replace companionship. Dogs doze away our workdays because evolution tethered their circadian rhythms to ours, yet absence still pinches. Quality time does not always mean raucous play. Many dogs crave quiet, parallel presence, a gentle brushing session while you read, or slow hands tracing their ears while you watch television. Those calm rituals lower your heart rate and theirs, strengthening the invisible bond that makes training simpler because it rests on trust instead of command chains. Understanding breed-specific drives is equally critical. A husky, prohibited. From pulling, may yank harder. Give it a harness and a scooter to tow and couch manners blossom. A beagle barred from sniffing may bay non-stop. Provide trailing sessions and the house falls silent. Meeting instinctive needs does not spoil a dog. It stabilizes temperament and prevents redirected behaviors that owners falsely label dominance. Environment also carries a big weight. Dogs hear frequencies beyond our range, smell layers we cannot imagine, and feel floor vibrations through their paws. What seems like a harmless air freshener or a bass-heavy music track to us may bombard sensitive canine senses. Swap chemical. Cleaners for mild vinegar solutions, cushion hardwood floors with rugs to dampen echo, and give the dog a quiet retreat room away from household bustle. Watch how quickly generalized skittishness fades once sensory overload is reduced. Finally, remember that your mood sets the weather. Dogs detect hormonal shifts and micro-expressions. They know you are irritated before you speak. If your day unravels, do not hide it behind forced cheer. Take a decompressing breath, soften your shoulders, and invite your dog onto a mat for mutual relaxation. That honesty teaches the dog that human storms pass harmlessly, preventing the anxiety spikes that create avoidance. Reading canine signals demands practice, yet the payoff is profound. When you respect a growl, comfort a tail-tucked worrier, rebuild recall trust, redirect nervous licking, and enrich a destructive chewer, you give your dog the gift of security. In response, the dog gives you not mere compliance, but wholehearted companionship. The eager trot at your heel, the relaxed sigh against your leg, the sparkling eyes that meet yours in shared adventure. By listening beneath the silence, you prove you are not simply a food dispenser or rule enforcer. You are a partner fluent in the language of pause, breath, and heartbeat. That fluency turns a house with a dog into a home pulsing with mutual understanding where both species age together. In confidence, each sure the other will keep listening even when no words are spoken.